With me today is a brand new 2019 Honda HR-V, and this happens to be the baby brother to the very popular Honda CR-V. Now, this is in the sub-compact SUV segment. However, don't let the exterior size fool you, because there's actually amazing amount of interior space and trunk space in the HR-V that I'm going to show you in a little bit. Now, for 2019, Honda decided to refresh the HR-V to make it more modern and more up-to-date compared to some of its competitors. So today I'm going to show you the ins and outs, go for a drive, conclude with the good and bad and ugly, and also answer this one very important question, and that is whether you should be looking at an HR-V or if you should upgrade to a CR-V. Stay tuned.
First, a quick shout out to Honda of Lisle, which made this video possible. More information can be found about the dealership in the description below.
Let's start out by looking at the front to this HR-V, and I really think this is a good looking front end. So first, take a look at this color. This is a metallic bursting orange paint color, and I simply dig it because it just makes the car look sportier. It makes the car pop out, and I think this is a fantastic paint color. Now, moving on to the headlights and fog lights, full LED, because this is the Touring Edition, they are upgraded. Reminds me of the ones that are on a Honda Accord, but remember, the lower end of HR-Vs do not get this setup, but this is a really good looking headlight. Now in the middle, you got a big Honda emblem, chrome bar, you got the blackout grille, right, which also kind of extends up here. This is kind of just like the subtle cues that Honda put, and it's kind of like an eyebrow that just overlays the headlights. And take a look at the bottom bumper. Now, I really dig this. It's kind of like a chin spoiler add-on that just makes it look more aggressive and sporty. And when you combine everything, the lower bumper, the headlights, and this paint color, I really dig the front end. Moving to the side of this HR-V, and I know what you're thinking. Take a look at the profile. It looks a lot like a hatchback, right? And it does look like that from the side, but trust me, it's actually a lot bigger, and I'll show you that once I move to the interior. Now, of course, this bursting orange carries throughout the HR-V, and that just really makes all sides look good. One thing that I'm really impressed with is the wheel fenders and also rocker panels are painted. And normally on subcompact, compact, even mid-size SUVs, you see them matte black, and they're not painted, and that is impressive for a car in this segment. Of course, you do see the privacy glass and also this aluminum roof rail that's integrated. That's really nice. And then finally, back here, you do see the door handles over here. This is kind of like a trademark that HR-V started, and you see a lot of its competitors now copy this design. These are 17-inch alloy wheels. They would probably look better if they were 18-inch. However, it's not a bad design. And that's pretty much it back here. So finally, moving on to the rear. Actually, the rear reminds me a lot like the older RDXs. They share a lot of the same design cues. And if you take a look, it's kind of like a pear shape, right? So it is much wider down here than up here. And I'm 5'10". Take a look, I'm like a foot above the roof. So the roof does go down, slant down quite a bit. So I'm going to see if that affects visibility, because the rear window is kind of narrow. So I'll see how that is when I'm driving. Now, besides that, there's not that much to the back end. The taillights were updated. You could see the top is LED, but the bottom is not. So that's new for 2019. The bottom bumper has changed a little bit. So you got kind of like this, I guess, like a lip down here, right? But there's a single exhaust, there's no chrome surrounds, nothing like that. And that's pretty much it back here to the HR-V. Moving on to the trunk, so take a look. This is actually a ton of space. Remember, this is a subcompact SUV, not a compact SUV. Now, the CR-V is a little bit bigger. However, you could put a lot of things back here. Just to show you, I'm going to get back here. I mean, I fit back here, and I'm not a small guy at all, so you can imagine in terms of luggage and just groceries, you could fit a lot back here. Now, even though you get amazing amount of space back here for a subcompact SUV, you don't get a whole lot of other things. So for example, there's no nets, no cubby holes, no dividers for your groceries and stuff. There's no power outlets to plug in things. Also, you don't get a power tailgate, which is not available. So you don't get a whole lot other than space. And for some of you guys, that's enough. Now I'm in the second row, and my God, is there a lot of space back here. I'm not exaggerating. When I reviewed a CRV, I raved about how much interior space there was, and in the HRV, it's no different. So take a look. This is my normal driving position. I'm 5'10", and look at the legroom. There's a good 6 to 8 inches of legroom left. So even if you were 6'2", 6'4", you could fit back here. It's amazing. Remember, this is a subcompact SUV, not a compact SUV, nor is it a midsize SUV. Same thing with headroom. There's a good 3 or 4 inches of headroom. The seats are nice and wide and cushioned. They feel very nice. Now, in terms of width, if there's 2 adults, 3 kids, fine. But if you're trying to fit 3 adults, it is going to be very crunched up. So, but 2 adults, good. Now, just like the trunk, unfortunately, though, you do get a lot of space, but you don't get a whole lot of other things. There's no vents anywhere. In terms of cup holders, there's only one that's split between both sides. There's one down here. There's none in the doors. There's no armrest in the middle. So you don't get a whole lot from that perspective. In terms of outlets, there's one power outlet down here, not USB, so you had to get your own charger. So just like the trunk, you get a huge amount of space, and it's actually very comfortable, but you don't get a whole lot of anything else. But Honda does have a trick up its sleeves, and it is really, really good. And let me show you the magic seats back here. Now let me show you these magic seats, which makes it really easy when you want to load bigger things into this HRV. There's a handle up here on both sides. You pull it, and you can lift up the seat like so, like that. And then you could see, you could put larger items. If you fold up that side, you could even fit a bike without the front wheel or a large TV. So you could do it like that, lift this up, it goes back down. Or you could fold this down, first push down the headrest, then do that. And this actually folds extremely flat. Unlike a lot of SUVs where it's kind of like slanted, this is completely flat. So that's the magic seats. So even though you don't get vents, you don't get USB ports, you don't get a whole lot of things like that, you do get a set of magic seats, which for many of you is a lot more useful. So moving on to the front, starting with the steering wheel, it looks like all the other Honda steering wheels, and that's not a bad thing. With the exception of this, there's like a grill over here, see-through grill. Not sure what the purpose is, but it actually makes it look better somehow. But you have a lot of controls here. Because of this Touring Edition, you do get a set of black paddle shifters, which is really not needed in a car like this. You could control your lane assist, your radar, cruise control. Menu is for a lot of things that I'll show you in the gauge cluster. This, you could control the menu and your audio. And over here is for your phone controls, and this is for setting cruise control as well. So this is pretty standard. It is leather. It's actually good size. It feels pretty good in my hand. So nothing wrong with the steering wheel. Moving to the gauge cluster, you do see a big analog miles per hour in the middle. Now on the side there, it is a screen, and this side is a screen too, and you can toggle through a few things. All right, so moving on to the middle, the media center. This is a 7-inch touchscreen, which is pretty good. I mean, it's pretty responsive, not the fastest, but it is touch, so it is nice for some things. You can get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It is an option, so that is available here. And then you do have a volume knob, which a lot of people complained about before, but it is back, so that is nice. Now moving on to this looks really gorgeous. Not only the chrome, this whole thing, this temperature control is all touch. Everything is touch, no buttons, okay? Even heated seats here. There's no ventilated seats, auto, defroster, rear power, heated mirrors. Everything is here, and this looks just really elegant, really nice. Now, this has to be the strangest sets of vents I've ever seen. 3 sets of vents. Normally you get one here, one over there, one over here. But Honda decided that there was just too much room or too little room, so they decided to put 3 in a row. So I don't know how I feel about that, but that just kind of, it's just kind of weird to me. Now moving on, you got traditional shifter, thank God. Nothing complicated about that. You got some space for spare change, brake hold, the electronic parking is over here. Now over here in the center, the armrest is kind of interesting. You can push this forwards and backwards, even though it does take some force to do so. You could then open this up as well. You got a little cubby hole over there. Now here, kind of innovative. You can push this out for your drink. If you have a smaller drink, this does open up so that you can put a larger drink or a smaller drink if you wanted to. And then here, just more cubby hole. So you might be thinking, well, are there any USB ports or just regular ports in general? Yes, they are actually down here. This is where you would put your phone, and here's like a regular 12V outlet and a couple of USB ports. All right, it's time for a drive. Let's see how this HRV does on the road. Now this HRV, just like the Civic I tested, does have a camera under the passenger mirror. So when you are turning right, it does show you what's in your blind spot through the media screen. And that's pretty cool, but you do have to get used to that because it comes on and you're like, what am I looking at exactly? I will say that these seats, even though they feel good, they don't really hug me in. So even on some of these curves right here, I do feel like I'm sliding around a little bit, especially the bottom cushion. Not so much the back. The back support is good, but the bottom cushion, I feel like I'm sliding around a little bit. But that could be because it is leather. And on a hot day today, it would be nice to have ventilated seats, but let's keep in mind this is a subcompact SUV and not a luxury subcompact SUV, so there will be some features that are not available. Hopefully the camera caught that, but there was a deer that just crossed. But right now the car feels light and nimble and agile, right? Because it is a small SUV. It does feel like a nimble drive. Now, one thing you would figure in a car like this, especially a subcompact SUV, you would figure, well, it's small, it's dark, it's going to feel claustrophobic. No, that's not the case. I mean, surprisingly, it really doesn't feel that way. Even width-wise, this is about a couple of inches narrower than a CRV, but I feel like there's plenty of shoulder room, plenty of hip room. I don't feel squeezed at all. Headroom, same thing, plenty of headroom. The front windshield is nice and big. Visibility is not impaired in any way. Same thing with the side windows. And remember when I was reviewing the back, I said, let's see how the rear window is. Right now, there's nothing blocking it. However, when I had the headrest up, they do block it substantially. So just keep that in mind. But with the headrest down, I could see back there just fine. Now in 2019, you do get a few other things because of the mid-cycle refresh. Now one of the things is you do get power seats now, only the driver's side, and that is something that a lot of people is looking for, not the passenger side though. You do lose the manual transmission, which a lot of people like, but you can no longer get that. So those are just like a few little things. And also you do get Honda Sense. Now, Honda Sense is pretty much across all of Hondas now, with the exception of a few cars. But Honda Sense really just adds that layer of security for you. You get radar-guided cruise control, lane keep assist. You get auto braking, autonomous braking if you need it in emergency. So you do get stuff like that, and that is part of the HRV now. The engine is a bit louder than I expected. Even at low speeds, I do hear quite a bit, but outside the engine, I don't hear anything. Now for 2019, also, I've heard Honda added a whole lot of insulation to make it a much quieter ride, and I gotta say that's true because I don't hear the tires, I don't hear any wind noise, and it's actually quite windy out right now. But I do hear the engine quite a bit, so it is a noisy engine. Okay, I have some open room here. Let's see how acceleration is. That made a whole lot of noise, but the car did not move at all. Yeah, so this 4-cylinder 141 horsepower engine is not a quick engine. In fact, this is probably one of the slowest cars I've driven. 0 to even 50 takes quite a long time. 0 to 60, almost 10 seconds. So a lot of people that's buying this HRV is not looking for a sporty ride or a fast acceleration. They're looking for something that has a lot of utility, that has great fuel economy, and is affordable. So with that in mind, the HRV definitely fits the bill. And one really big surprising thing is the visibility is great. I'm sitting here, I'm not really high off the ground. So, I mean, compared to a sedan, I'm probably only a few inches off the ground higher. So even next to like a RAV4, I feel low. But I mean, visibility is great. I'm not feeling cramped at all. And that's amazing thing with this HRV. The steering and brakes feel like the other Hondas I've driven. So that's not a bad thing. The steering somewhat in the middle, not too soft, not too hard. The brakes feel pretty good, pretty linear. Doesn't catch too fast or catch too slow. So those are good. The steering wheel itself feels pretty good, although my hands tend to slide around a bit. All right, guys, let's conclude with the good and bad and the ugly about this HRV. Now, there's a lot of good. Let's start with the outside. I love this paint. I do think that if you configure HRV with a beautiful metallic paint such as this bursting orange, it's just going to make it that much better. Although you could get the normal colors, but there are a lot of unique metallic colors that are available. Now, some of the changes they have made for 2019, especially on the Touring Edition, definitely looks the outside look more modern, more aggressive, more sporty, and I do like that. Now, moving on to the interior, the biggest good has to be the space. I told you guys not to judge the outside because the inside is big. I would say this really, if you measure the interior space that you get, should really be a compact SUV, not a subcompact SUV. The trunk is very big. The second row is amazingly big for an SUV of this class. And the front, the same thing. It's a comfortable, spacious ride, and visibility is great. Now, in terms of driving, it feels pretty good too. It aligns with all the other Hondas I've driven, like the CR-V, Civic, Pilot. I've driven them all, and this feels very similar, and that's not a bad thing. And also, in terms of just the overall look, the seats, the door panels, the media center to the center armrest, everything here actually looks pretty good. It doesn't look dated. It doesn't look like it needs to be changed. And overall, I think this is a fantastic SUV. Now, what are the bad? There's really only two things. One is, I gotta say, this engine. This engine is just too slow. It's adequate if you're going in the city, you're going slow, you're going on the mountains, it's fine. But if you're trying to pass someone, you're trying to get up to speed, it is really slow. So I really wish Honda would do something about the engine, upgrade it, maybe put one of the engines from the CR-V in the HRV that would upgrade this SUV substantially. The other thing is it's lacking features. Now, some of you guys may have younger children that are looking for some extra things, such as climate vents in the back, so they're not super hot or super cold. You don't get stuff like that. You don't get USB ports. You only get one cup holder in the back, which is, to me, too little. And in the trunk, you don't get any dividers, storage spaces, nets. So in terms of the amenities, some of the options, you don't get. Power liftgate is not an option. So in terms of the bad, really, it's that the engine, and you don't get a whole lot of the other things that you would get in, say, a compact SUV. And now, lastly, I want to answer that question at the very beginning that I posed is, if you're in the market, should you be looking at an HRV, or should you look at an upgrade or something bigger like the CRV? And to answer that, it really depends on your budget and also what you're looking for. Approximately, the difference between a fully loaded HRV and a CRV on paper is around $5,000 to $6,000 difference. So this one tops out around $30,000, a little bit under $30,000, and then a CRV Touring tops out right around $35,000. However, with the current incentives that you find on a CRV, that gap shrinks and it's more like $3,000 to $4,000 difference. So with that, you do get a whole lot more in a CRV. It is a little bit more spacious. It's a bit more luxurious. You get a lot more features that are missing in here. So it really depends on if you have smaller children or more people to haul, then the CRV may be a better choice for you for only a few thousand more. Now, if you don't have those things that you're worried about and you're more of the type that you need more utility and practicality and you want something that's a bit more affordable, then the HRV is definitely what you should be looking at. Thanks for checking this out, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you hit the like, subscribe to the channel, and check out some of my other videos. Take care. Bye-bye.